One thing that really disappointed me, given that this is such a beautiful body, was that Hey guys, welcome back to Revolution XRC. By now, a number of you should have jumped on the Horizon Hobby sale for the Axial UMG10 6x6 at the really nice, ridiculous price of $350. At $350 for the 6x6, it was such a great deal that I picked up a second one even though I already had this one. So now that some of you have already ordered your 6x6s and are eagerly awaiting their arrival or already have them in hand, here are a few things that you should do before you start running them. Now, number one on the list of things to do, especially if you're going to keep the UMG10's body and you plan to run this body is painted from the factory on the outside. So this gunmetal paint is painted on the outside. What that means is that there is no paint on the inside of this body. And if you drive it out on the rocks and you get some scratches like you see I did here, when you get scratches on this body and the paint being on the outside, you'll start seeing clear spots, because once the paint is scratched off, there's nothing on the inside and you just see it clear through the body, and that bothered me. So the first thing you want to do when you get this body is to take it all apart, take off all the scale details and mask off the windows and paint the body on the inside. So there are two pieces that you need to paint: the cab and the gunmetal painted portion of the bed. The bed is two-piece. You don't really need to paint the inner bed, but you should paint the outer bed. In my case, what I did was I painted with the darker Tamiya gunmetal color. I don't remember if it's 23 or 63. I think 23 is the darker one. So I painted with PS23 gunmetal by Tamiya on the inside, after masking off the windows, of course, and then I backed it with black. So that's what I did there. And now when you scratch the body, it should not be as obvious. You won't see clear through the body when the paint scratches off on the outside. So that is the first thing you should do. Take apart all the scale details on the body and paint the inside of all the gunmetal body parts. Number two, one thing that really disappointed me, given that this is such a beautiful body, was that some of these screws were screwed directly into the Lexan. What that means is when you're crawling out on the rocks, there is a propensity for the screw head to punch straight through the Lexan. In this case right here, I've had this screw right here punch straight through the Lexan, and also up here, the upper half of the snorkel, it's got two screws that secures the upper half of the snorkel, and those two punch straight through the body and my upper half just came off. So I did take care of those unreinforced screw locations with some 3D printed parts that I created, and I'll provide a link to those in the description below. Basically, I created some 3D printed washers and spacers and brackets for some areas where the screw was screwed directly onto the Lexan. So you'll see I have these two washers for these two corners here. I have this handlebar looking bracket here for this screw here. You'll see inside the bed that I've created washers for the screws. So right there too. And I'll show you the pieces in just a minute. Actually, why don't I just show you now? So these are the pieces that are printed up. These two, I believe, are for the rear of the bed right there. These are the brackets that I have for the side of the bed. Right there. You'll need some of these washers on the underside of the bed, and I'll show you that in just a minute, where the lock nuts secure those screws. And there's also two washers right here. I believe it's this one of these. I don't know which one it is, but one of these. But I have got two of these for the windshield wipers, because the windshield wipers also have screws that go directly into the Lexan. This right here is the brace for the top half of the snorkel. So I'll just show you that right now. Alright, you'll see right here that I've got washers in back of those lock nuts. There's two more washers in there. I don't know if you can see them. Now here on the windshield wiper washers, you can see that right there. And you can see the brace for the upper half of the snorkel. Oops, right there. See if I can give you a better angle. Yeah, if you can see the upper half of the snorkel, it's where that windshield is in that corner on that pillar, and that's where the brace is. So out of the box with the factory, those two screws are straight into the Lexan with no support. So I created that bracket right there for it. So that's number two, is to print out those pieces that I designed and reinforce your bed. So that's also something you want to do. Number three is chassis brace. This is also a piece I designed. This is an older prototype where I have it in two pieces. My design is actually one piece, but you can cut it into two pieces if you'd like. So I'll provide a link to these in the description below. If you do not have the means to print these, you can hit me up. I'll put a link in the description to hit me to contact me, and I can print you these. And you can see I'm printing them as two pieces. Longer piece in the back, shorter piece in the front. There's an arrow here showing the direction for the front, and it'll stiffen up your chassis. And the reason I printed these in two pieces is because some people will replace this part with a 3D printed transfer case mount in order to divorce the rear axles. So this will allow you to do that if you need to. The divorce transfer case files are from Motor Ford Engineering, so he's got files for those for you to run a transfer case right there to separate the axles so that they're not dependent on a pass-through. So I do provide the files for these, but you can also ask me to print these for you. Just hit me up and I'll give you the details. So that's number three, in order to just stiffen up the chassis brace. And once again, the file is a one-piece thing, but I do slice it here in half, or not half, but I do cut it into two pieces when I print it out. Currently that's what I do, but if you are able to print yourself, you can choose to print it as one piece or two pieces like I do. Alright, the next thing on the list of things you should do is the rear drive shaft between these two rear axles. Now I have a video, go check it out. It'll show you what the issue is with these drive shafts on the two rear axles. Basically, when you compress this fully, the stock ones will fall out. And that's because of the three-piece design that the stock one uses. These are a two-piece design, no chance of it falling out, as you can see. So perfectly good this way. Some people also have mentioned that they need to shim this middle axle a little bit. I haven't yet, but just watch out for that. And I don't have a video for you for that one yet because I haven't had to take care of that yet. But definitely take care of the drive shaft on the rearmost axles. You can replace all three if you want to, but this one is the one that's most important. The wall-bore drive shafts for the front two axles, or the front two drive shafts, should be fine. but if you want them to all match, go ahead and replace all three, but this is the one to watch out for. Here I'm using the Team Raffi drive shafts, but they worked, but if you watch my video, you'll see the concerns I had with them. What I do recommend is getting these Axial UMG10 6x6 from Junefak, and these are universals, so these will work much better. And I'll put a link to these in the description below as well. Other than that, you can pretty much run it as is. Of course, you know, you'll probably want to change the servo out and the ESC or the motor later on, but some of the things before you start running it is just to take care of the chassis flex, the body braces, and the paint on the inside of the body, as well as the drive shaft. So those are just a few things that you should take care of before you run your UMG10 6x6, and you know, just enjoy running it. It's a great truck when you have it running great. One more thing before we wrap up. One thing that really helps this UMG10 6x6 are nice heavier wheels and good tires, and these are personally my favorite tires, the Proline BFG crawlers in G8 compound. They grip really well. Keep in mind that it's all subjective to where you crawl. Where I crawl, where it's like beach rock and just dry rock, these work really great. So this also really helps the UMG10 6x6's capability as well. So I mean, not necessarily right away, but you'll see a big difference when you get some nice wheels and tires, or heavier wheels and nice tires to run this rig, and it'll just amaze you what some of the things that this rig can do. So I hope this video was helpful for you people that are just getting into the Axial UMG10 6x6. Overall, it's a very fun rig, and if you run it the right way, it's fantastic. I mean, I don't run this as like some high-speed basher. I strictly use this for crawling, and it does fantastic work at that. So just keep in mind, you know, you run it the way it should be run, and it will be a ton of fun. So I'm definitely looking forward to doing more work on it, especially since I now have a second one, and I will definitely try the divorced axle from Motorford Engineering. So stay tuned for those videos, but I'm not done with this one yet. I definitely still am going to be working on this one as well. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell for future updates on my UMG10 6x6 builds. Thank you.